5:10 p.m. Exeter have just had a Stu Townsend try disallowed, Armand found to have taken out a defender and held on, which ultimately opened up the gap for the try. 5:05 p.m. Huge roar from the Exeter fans as Thomas Waldrom, who is leaving at the end of the season, enters the fray in place of Sam Simmonds. 5:04 p.m. Slade has just bounced Sinoti out of the way. 5:03 p.m. Exeter have gone up another level as they steal a Newcastle line out deep inside Falcons territory. 5:01 p.m. Exeter, clearly fired up by Turner's commitment, hits straight back and win a scrum penalty. They get the shunt on. White breaks to the left and then plays the try-scoring pass to Woodburn, who does brilliantly to go airborne and touch down with one hand before being bundled into touch. Joe Simmonds converts from the tightest of angles. 4:58 p.m. Newcastle have a chance to put their first points on the board as Exeter are penalised for not rolling away. But they need more than 3, so kick to touch for the line out. It's approaching now or never time for the Falcons, and they've scored a try. Flood offloading to Harris, Olmsted with a great line and then Alex Tate finishing it off. And you don't see this very often, but Turner has just charged down Flood's conversion. Well, there's a collector's item. Lucky Turner puts his body on the line to block Toby Flood's conversion. No. Easy points. Pic.twitter.com/1JustSubAge Rugby on BT Sport at BT Sport Rugby, May 19, 2018. 4:53 p.m. The Falcons have all their heavy hitters on the field in Aviva, Sinoti and Neely Latu, but the latter is stopped in his tracks brilliantly by Joe Simmonds. 4:52 p.m. Nothing is going right for Newcastle as Hammersley knocks on from a high ball, gifting Exeter field position just 20 meters from the try line. But this time the scrum penalty goes Newcastle's way. 4:50 p.m. Goniva is not having a good day as he is stripped of the ball by White, a man half his size, and then a boot downfield over Hammersley bobbles into touch to put Newcastle under pressure near their own try line. And up and under from the Falcons is well taken by Woodburn, and 2 phases later Newcastle are pinged for diving and off their feet. Joe Simmonds makes no mistake with the penalty. 4:46 p.m. Possible head injury to Hammersley as he dipped into contact with Ewers. Looks like he's shaken the blow off though. Probably more neck than head. 4:44 p.m. Lovely step and inside pass from Slade to Turner puts the Aussies through a gap, but he's hauled down by Olmsted. Still, penalty to the Chiefs and Joe Simmonds pops it over, riding the wind. 4:42 p.m. A horrible, floated pass from Joe Simmonds isn't long enough to reach Slade, and Goniva almost has the chance of another intercept, but he can't take it cleanly. That pass shows the strength of the wind. 4:40 p.m. Newcastle have 40 minutes to turn this around, and they are playing into the wind, away from home. This is a monumental challenge. A decent surge by Graham give the visitors a good platform, but Michael Young's box kick just goes straight up in the air. Newcastle recover possession, but are forced to attack from deep in Sinoti. Sinoti is pinged for holding on. Exeter kick for touch and have a line out in a very strong position. 4:23 p.m. The Chiefs have been totally dominant, enjoying 92% possession, and only some heroic defense from the Falcons has kept them in the game. To put Exeter's domination into context, the Chiefs only had to make 9 tackles in the first half, Newcastle had to make 154. 4:22 p.m. Sensational break from Lucky Turner, who sprints across field before cutting inside Chris Harris. He's eventually brought down by Simon Hammersley, but Ewers is able to pick the ball up and rumble on. He offloads to Woodburn. Alec Hepburn recycles. Exeter are just meters out, and White picks up from the base of the ruck and launches himself over the try line. The conversion is good. Just like that, the Chiefs score the first try of the second semi-final. Lachi Turner with the break debuers with the offload. Nick White with the score. Exeter in command at 16-0 going into the second half. Pic.twitter.com/iCrescent64 Miva, Rugby on BT Sport, at BT Sport Rugby, May 19, 2018 4:18 p.m. Just for a moment Goniva's eyes light up as Nick White's pass wide is intercepted by the giant Fijian, but before he is able to get up ahead of steam he is hauled down. 4:16 p.m. Exeter are dominating at scrum time as Newcastle are pinged for collapsing on the halfway line. It's too far out for a kick at goal, so Exeter go for the line out. It's clean, but strong Falcons defense earns a turnover. 4:13 p.m. Butterfingers from Goniva as he drops the ball in open play. Very unlike the Premiership's player of the season. 4:11 p.m. Newcastle have had very little of the ball and, when they do, flood kicks on third phase. Surely with the strike weapons they have the ball should be going through the hands. 4:04 p.m. It's now a treble blow for Newcastle as prop Scott Wilson, who leaves the field on a stretcher, is forced off the pitch and Davy Wilson comes on in his place. We're half an hour in and there are 10 Exeter Chiefs players that haven't yet made a tackle. Charlie Morgan, at Charlie Felix, May 19, 2018 4:03 p.m. Exeter's tactics of utilizing the rolling maul and then spreading the play makes valuable meters. And now Newcastle are down to 14 men as Evan Olmsted is shown a yellow card for diving over the ruck, off his feet, and slapping down the ball. Replays show that may have been harsh as he wasn't off his feet. Nevertheless, Joe Simmonds kicks the ensuing penalty and it's a double blow for the Falcons. 3:57 p.m. Exeter are beyond 20 phases now and the referee can be heard to say, "Advantage," for a high tackle. The Chiefs look to spread the play with quick passes, but the ball goes to ground and play is brought back for a kick at goal, which Joe Simmonds nails. 3:54 p.m. It's unlikely this game will be as open as the Saracens v Wasps match with both defenses, especially Newcastle's judging by the early play, very well drilled. Armand and Ewers make themselves available on the crash ball, but time and time again they are repelled. 3:49 p.m. Toby Flood spots a huge gap between Johnny Hill and Slade and breaks through it, but a miraculous tap tackle by Hill brings the former England fly half down. That was a vital tap because otherwise Flood was away. 3:46 p.m. Exeter are using their forwards to smash holes in the Newcastle defense. Armand, Dave Ewers, Lees, Luke Howe and Dickey, and that's a penalty to the hosts for flopping on the ball. The kick is right in front, so should be straightforward for Joe Simmonds, and is. 3:43 p.m. Another penalty against the Chiefs on the floor as Newcastle commit 3 men to the breakdown and claim the turnover. That's the third time it's happened. Exeter may need to rethink their tactics at the breakdown. 3:41 p.m. Slade is dictating play and once again makes a mini break before releasing Mitch Lees, who finds Sam Simmonds. Lees has had a couple of good runs, but Exeter are pinged for holding on to the ball. Again, good Newcastle defense. 3:38 p.m. Graham is penalized for a high tackle, but that's very, very harsh as Ollie Woodburn was not only ducking but also falling over. Only a penalty, though, no yellow card. 3:37 p.m. Slade steps out of one tackle in the middle of the park, takes a couple of strides forward before releasing Sam Simmonds, who trundles forward and is brought down 20 meters out. Phase after phase, the Chiefs control the ball and make hard-earned inroads before, on the 25th phase, the hosts are penalized and the ball is turned over. 3:34 p.m. 10th phase of possession from Exeter, and they're yet to get beyond the halfway line as Newcastle's defence holds firm. 3:33 p.m. Newcastle get us underway and Henry Slade claims the ball before it's recycled and punted skyward, but Veronika Goniva takes well. A steady start from both sides. No mistakes yet. 3:31 p.m. The players are on the pitch, we're seconds away from starting. 3:30 p.m. With the nasty-looking leg injury to Jack Willis earlier today, the clash between Don Armand and Gary Graham could hold extra significance. Which one will Eddie Jones turn to if Willis is ruled out of this summer's tour to South Africa? 3:14 p.m. Newcastle Director of Rugby Dean Richards, the players have been excited ever since they knew they were going to be in the semis, so it's actually all about curbing it and making sure we get that focus on the important things, and I don't think that will be an issue at all. The boys are switched on and ready to roll. There is nothing to fear at all. Everyone is tipping Exeter to win. We've got absolutely nothing to lose going down there, and we will give it our all and see what happens. These little percentages here and there make a massive difference when you come to semi-finals. You can always get away with it throughout the regular season, but when you come down to the semi-finals and final stages, that accuracy really counts. Exeter head coach Rob Baxter, I don't think there is any way you can say the mood in the camp is like it is before any other Premiership game. You can try and talk like that, but the reality is that everybody knows it is not. It is a Premiership semi-final, and everyone knows it will be different. 3:05 p.m. Newcastle's bid to reach a first Aviva Premiership final is lifted by former England fly half Toby Flood returning from injury today at Sandy Park. The Falcons, Premiership champions in 1998 before playoffs began, make a semi-final debut after an impressive season that saw them finish fourth behind Exeter, Saracens and Wasps. Flood had been sidelined for 6 weeks due to a hand problem, but he features in a Newcastle team skippered by flanker Mark Wilson that also includes wing Veronika Goniva, who was crowned Premiership Player of the Season earlier this week. Reigning champions Exeter, bidding to reach a third successive Twickenham final, include 4 England squad members who will tour South Africa next month in centre Henry Slade, hooker Luke Cowan-Dickie, lock Johnny Hill and number 8 Sam Simmonds. The teams will be greeted by glorious sunshine and a capacity crowd, with Saracens awaiting the winners next Saturday. 2:29 p.m. Today's conditions. Not a cloud in the sky, but there is a breeze. Think it's southerly, but we all know Sandy Park could well be northerly by co-time. Exeter Chiefs at Exeter Chiefs, the 19th of May 2018, 2:01 p.m. 2:01 p.m. 1:59 p.m. Gary Graham is attempting to follow in his father's footsteps when he faces the might of the Exeter Chiefs in today's Aviva Premiership semi-final. The Newcastle flanker and his teammates may be the surprise package in the end-of-season shootout, but it is not entirely unfamiliar territory for the club. 20 years ago, the Falcons lifted the title with Scotland international prop George Graham among their ranks, and his 25-year-old son is desperate to emulate that achievement. Asked how much of an influence his father has been on his career, Graham said, "He's been massive. He always watches my games, and heavily criticizes what I have done wrong, but that's good for my work-ons." Obviously he won it 20 years ago. "I'm here now, I'd like to say we could do it again with me carrying on the name." The competitiveness that George Graham has drummed into his sons, Gary's younger brother Guy is also on the books at Kingston Park, has served them well. And it is something that extends far beyond the rugby pitch. Gary said, "The game has changed massively from when he was playing, but the fundamentals haven't, the work ethic, the mindset, all those types of things. He's built them into us from when we were young lads, me and my brothers, and that is probably what has helped me the most. Every time we go back to the house, it doesn't matter what it is, we're all super competitive. If there's a can of pop left and it's a fight to get the last one, then I'm sure we all will. My whole family is massively competitive. We all play rugby at different ages and different levels, but one thing that you will find with the Grahams is that we are super competitive.